Keith DeMolder on the call for that. So stick around for that when this show is over. Get your football weekend started with a little bit of high school football at the Class B level. And we will hear from Coach Hughes, the Loyola head coach, here in just a moment. We also, of course, because it's Friday, we got Carolyn in here just going out of her mind with a chick who doesn't know sports as usual. We didn't know at the time that we recorded this with her that AB is actually no longer a Patriot. So that will be an interesting progression in the turn of events of the world that you will note when you hear it. But in any case, it's always solid gold. Top of the hour, brand new segment. Excited about this. 12 for the 12s, 12 minutes for Seattle Seahawks fans. We are ESPN Radio, proud to be the Seattle Seahawks affiliate in western Montana and in Missoula down the Bitterroot Valley. We will have, of course, the Seahawks New Orleans Saints game for you on Sunday. We go to the air with that at noon, the pregame show. But very happy to have Michael Sean Dugar, who is the Seattle beat writer for The Athletic, covering the Seahawks for The Athletic, joining us. He's going to join us all year long. And so the first installation of 12 for the 12s with Michael Sean Dugar coming up at the top of the hour. We will do some picks against the spread. We will talk about what we got on ESPN Radio and our very first ever Tootell and Nuanez 2-minute mashup. Give you the full week in 2 minutes. That's right. What we're going to do. So there you go. That is our show Outlook. Show Outlook is brought to us by Missoula Gutter Cleaning, the safest, fastest, most fun, and most insured company. Visit MissoulaGutterCleaning.com for an estimate. Coulter, sometimes in order to have more time, you got to take a little bit of time out. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We need 10 hours to get through everything that is going on here today because we had some late-breaking news as of about 10 minutes ago that we're going to lead off with here. But before we get to that, you got to have a little bit of coffee, man. Like, if you're running low, you're not going to get the stuff done you need to get done. I got myself a Florence Coffee Company iced coffee. You brought it to me. Thank you very much. What are you sipping on over there?
Oh, green tea. Already had too much coffee today.
So you needed to kick it in neutral a little bit. Ooh,
well, I had my the girls at Florence probably think I'm crazy because I went there twice in the span of maybe 4 hours. I was putting the finishing touches on my I was putting my finishing touches on my Jerry Louis McGee senior profile, which will be up at SkylineSportsMT.com pretty soon. A really good conversation with Mike Farrader, former Grizz receiver, yesterday. And, JLM just has a great story, man. It's an excellent story. Worley, Idaho's population 250.
Yep.
And he comes as a 5'8" walk-on to Montana and graduates as the all-time leader in the school's history in catches. Not to mention he's one of the greatest punt returners in the history of the Big Sky Conference.
Yes.
Unbelievable story. But I needed some juice. This was about noon, so I got a coffee. And then as I finished, 2 hours later, I called you and said, well, I'm already here, so I might as well go through the drive-thru again.
Yep. Well, it is time. It's Friday. Listen, you can stay up late. You can sleep in. You get yourself ready for afternoon kickoff of Grizz and Cat football tomorrow. Take a time out. Do a Florence Coffee Company coffee break with us right now. Thank you very much, Florence, for this. Mm-hmm. As always. Now, look, we were going to lead what you would expect going into a football weekend with football. And, Montana State, all that kind of stuff. Then AB gets cut. You go, okay, well, do we really want to talk about that? Is that a big deal? It's interesting. There's plenty to talk to. I don't know that. I think we got too much other stuff to get to really spend much time on it. It is what it is. Okay. But then we get more news, more very relevant news to this area. And it looks like Hellgate senior athletic star, or two-sport star, both basketball and football, Raleigh Wooster, has made a decision about his collegiate future, going to play basketball at Utah State. This according to a post on Twitter. It is not from Raleigh Wooster's account. It is from
Select Basketball USA, which I believe is the AAU program, the club that he plays for.
The AAU program. Now, I am going to put a lot of credence into this, but I am not going to put 100% because let's put it like this. I have known cases in which an attempt to leverage a person, I'm not talking about in all kinds of ways. In fact, well, I won't say specific, but even in our own radio world, there have been leverage moves made by announcing something before it was so in order to get it to become so, as they say, to manifest it. But nonetheless, there is a tweet that's out there. It's making the rounds. And when we had Mick Morris on the ESPN Roundtable, which you may have heard earlier today and this week, he said, that he kind of alluded to there may be an announcement coming sooner rather than later about Raleigh Wooster and what he's up to. So if this is in fact true, Utah State, an outstanding basketball program, no doubt about it. They're playing in the Mountain West. That is, understandable. And I don't know if Raleigh or his family have connections, to the state of Utah, to the Aggies specifically, or what it would have been, where you go, okay, this is what I think that I want to do. I think I was wondering. I had a very open thought about, the fact that he maybe decided that he liked football more than he liked basketball, or he thought maybe there was a higher upside. I really hoped that Raleigh would choose to play basketball for me personally, because he is a next level basketball talent to me, in terms of what his skill set is, and his just eye and instinct for the game is it's something that is not really teachable. And I think that's so I'm glad he's playing basketball. I guess I didn't have any idea where it would be that he might be going. How much better is Utah State than the University of Montana? I think it's a pretty open question. That Utah State's a very good team.
Utah State went 28-7 last year. They went 15-3 in the Mountain West, tied for the Mountain West Conference title. They got the auto bid, and they were a number 8 seed in the NCAA tournament. Montana has never been as high as a number 8 seed.
Yeah. And so,
and Utah State, people forget that they had such an entrenched tradition and also a recruiting presence in Western Montana, because Stu Morrill, former head coach for a long time for Utah State, was at Montana before.
Right.
And Stu Morrill, it became almost kind of a running joke. Utah State's going to win 28-30 games when they were in the WAC. They're going to get a 10-12 seed. Every once in a while, they'll pull the 12-5 upset,
yeah.
but most of the time they're just going to be 30-4 and lose in the opening round and keep doing it and keep on rolling. But they've pulled some kids out of this part of the country before, including most recently Riley Bradshaw went down to Utah State and then ended up transferring back home to the University of Montana. But Craig Smith, in his second year at Utah State, is definitely an up-and-coming young coach. He took a South Dakota program that was just absolutely in the dumpster and made them into a 500 program, then into a 22-win team, then into a 27-win team before taking the Utah State job. So he's got that program and then the Utah State program on upward trajectories. I watched Utah State live last year twice because they played a couple Big Sky teams, including opening the season at Montana State, or against Montana State, in Logan, and they're good. They're talented.
Yeah, they went to Montana State 2 years ago, and they rolled the Cats up pretty good both times on that. So anyway, for what it's worth, we will work on getting full confirmation on that. But for now, that is what it appears Raleigh Worcester is going to do. One of the more heralded high school athletes from the city of Missoula in quite some time. I mean, probably. Trace Tinkle would be the most recent, and his future was never really in doubt in terms of what he was doing. So this is why this is so interesting with the original verbal commitment, and then recant that and realize you got a lot more options than maybe you thought you were going to have, and then make a final decision. So I think this has been a much more sort of complex and circuitous story than we've seen in Missoula in a long time coming out of the high school ranks.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Ben Roberts, getting drafted in baseball, and going to Washington State. And, there's been some a couple others. I mean, Catherine Burkhoff at Hellgate swimming team. I mean, she's world class, no doubt. But Raleigh Worcester's definitely been a kid that has had some of the most intrigue because he was the youngest player to ever verbally commit to Grizz basketball. He got offered after his freshman year. I know former assistant basketball coach Rashi Wortham used to play basketball down at the Peak all the time, and he saw Raleigh there, and he's like, well, man, this guy can hang against former Grizz players and grown men, and he's 15. So then he started talking to Coach Shakira and said, hey, you got to watch this kid play. So they started recruiting him. He's like, oh, he can play. Give him an offer. So I think that's why he was it's such an intriguing deal because he was so young. Can you hold on? I mean, to have a guy verbally committed, you have to hold on to him for 3 years.
Right.
That's tough.
Yes, it is.
Especially when somebody physically blossoms like Raleigh Worcester has as well.
Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana. All right. That's that news. Let's move on to some football stuff. The Grizz and the Cats. Colter, we've talked about both these games quite a bit. Let's start, though, with Montana State because we have some sound for you from Jeff Choate and from Matt Miller, the offensive coordinator, Matt Miller of the Bobcats, about Casey Bauman. And you and I both talked about on Monday, maybe it was Tuesday, that we believe this game to be – we will think that both of these games come at a really good moment for both schools. And Montana coming off, the loss to Oregon, getting a fourth game to sort of, finish off the non-conference and sort of, so to speak, launch and lock and load, however you want to talk about it, for the conference schedule. But Montana is also, they're kind of what they are at this point. And every team is obviously wanting to get better every single week, come together, and that's what this week creates with an additional game in there. But for Montana State, it just seems like it's so important that Casey Bauman get as much experience as he possibly can, particularly against a team that you think you might be able to try a few things against, maybe throw some more balls down the field than what you ordinarily would feel comfortable doing. Who knows how the game will go, but you just get that additional time with a kid who's in a weird way kind of the linchpin of the offense, just insofar as he needs to cover some floor. He needs to get to some sort of middle-of-the-road level as a player to make them potentially really, really good. And this is a really big opportunity in a game that is not a conference game to maybe take a step forward for him in his progression.
Twofold, I think, here. I think, first of all, I said this on my Bozeman radio show this morning. I think that regardless of how this matchup plays out, I think Montana State will have a definitive advantage in the trenches. They most often will this year.
Yes.
During the regular season, Montana State will have an advantage in the trenches on both sides of the ball. More often than not. And I'm just thinking about the matchups in the Big Sky. The fact that they don't play Weber State, I think that you could actually say, and they don't play Eastern Washington, I think you could actually say across the board, except for maybe the Montana game, depending on how the Grizz are playing at that moment. I think you could say that Montana State's going to have an advantage in the trenches, but they're going to have a definitive advantage in this game.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be able to run the ball. But I think one of the key storylines entering this game is just the preservation of some of their top players. Isaiah Fonse is still coming back from what's not necessarily a muscle or structural thing. It's just a knee bruise, but it's pure time that it takes for it to heal. So I just don't think you want to get him banged up in a game that you're favored by 4 touchdowns. If you could just give him a rest and he'll be 100% against NAU. Right. It's the same thing with Troy Anderson. He tweaked his ankle last week. He's running against a 9 and 10 man box against Western Illinois. But they literally put their entire defense, besides their 2 corners, in the box. And Troy Anderson came in the game. He ends up rushing for only 14 yards on 7 carries, and he twists his ankle. And then he only plays in 3rd downs on defense the rest of the game. And I know he didn't practice this week, so he'll either be very limited or maybe not play at all. And you got to do it because you got to have Troy Anderson if you want to make a run at the Big Sky Conference title. But that said, then they're going to rely a little bit more on Casey Bauman. And this reminds me of the Wagner game a year ago when Tucker Rovig sort of turned the corner and had a good day. He then unfortunately got hurt a couple weeks later, right when he was about to assume the starting job. Then he's overtaken by Bauman in the offseason. But if this is a game you're in control of, maybe Bauman can get in a little bit more of a rhythm. If Troy Anderson's out, I think that's the greatest thing ever for Casey Bauman if you're playing an inferior opponent. Because now Jeff Choate isn't tempted to put Troy Anderson at quarterback when you need a score. Put Troy Anderson in here or there. Travis Johnson's banged up too, so he'll either be limited or out. So now all of a sudden it's only Bauman. And then so if you can find a rhythm, that's key. But also, if you can't, now all of a sudden the Wolf's at the door.
Yeah.
And if you're going into NAU and you don't have confidence in Casey Bauman,
what do we got?
What do you got? I
totally.
mean, you're talking about everybody thinks it's ridiculous, but at the end of the day, Jeff Choate's job is to win games, and these players' their responsibilities to their schools to win. And if they think Troy Anderson gives them the best chance to win, they're not going to hesitate to pull the trigger. I'm not saying that that's in the works right now, but you need Casey Bauman to get a little bit of confidence under himself going into conference play.
Well, here is a little bit of sound from Jeff Choate regarding his quarterback.
When you look at the way Casey's playing right now through 3 games, what do you think he needs to do maybe to just get a little bit more accurate on some of those throws, especially in the quick?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that go into it. Some of the mechanics, are weight transition's a big thing for him. If he's throwing and not transition his weight to his front foot, the ball's going to have a tendency to dive because he has such a high delivery point. The other thing is I think he's squeezing the ball too hard. When you kind of choke the ball, oftentimes it's not going to come out as clean. And so some of that's just being more relaxed. We knew we were going to deal with some growing pains here. And, certainly that's a part of the process. And, we'll continue to work on it, man. I mean, I think there was things that were open and available to us, certainly in the passing game. They had a good scheme. Every time 15 came in the game, they were going to crash and spill. And so, we didn't adjust as quickly as we probably should have on that. I think there's some things that we could have done to take advantage of them overplaying the perimeter of our offense when we had him in the game. But there's a ton of things that were open to us in the passing game. And we had favorable matchups, and we've got to be more efficient there.
Is 3 games enough of a sample size to kind of gauge where Casey's at as well? Is it enough film for him to kind of take this next step for himself?
Yeah, I think he's got plenty of reps. I do. I think not because we made this decision so early in camp. It's not just the game reps, but he's also had that extra 2.5 weeks of practice where he was really taking the 1 reps. And so, I think we know what he's not doing well. I mean, there's some decisions that, obviously he'd like to have back, but I think he's making progress. Casey, I think, has done a really good job. I mean, it's easy to criticize the quarterback. I get that. But here's what that guy's done for us. He hasn't thrown 1 interception, okay? He's taken, one sack in 3 games, something like that. He's been very, very smart with the football. And at the end of the day, when you're playing good defense, you can take some chances, but you probably would be better off letting your defense play. And so I really commend him for staying within himself, making good decisions with the football, valuing the football for our team. And I think those are things that we can build on. Now, some of the reads, managing the perimeter a little bit better when, not predetermining things, I think that's the biggest step for him. Let the game slow down, see what the defense is doing, make the correct read. We're not going through a 3 progression. I mean, this isn't go here, here, here. This is post safety, split safety, yes, no, do this. I mean, that's it. And oftentimes, you got to let it play out. They're going to try to disguise coverage. They're going to bring pressure. And so have a little bit of patience, have a little bit of poise, and I think the more game reps he gets, the better he's going to be at that.
So there you go. Pretty straightforward on the part of Jeff Choate, both directions. I mean, he said, look, there's a lot of good things that he's doing. Then there's some other things that he isn't doing. And I do find it interesting at the end, he basically said, it is a fairly simple thing that he's got to do back there ultimately from a read standpoint. So that's, that isn't something that we are going to sit here and, be overly patient about. I think that Jeff Choate, especially when he's referring to the 2.5 weeks before the game started, is saying, we need to be at a place where you are the progression is being seen. And I don't know if they're seeing that or not yet. I think maybe in some ways they are, in some ways they are not. And again, that's why I think that this game is such a big game for him. How about Matt Miller? He's the offensive coordinator. He's the one working with Casey Bauman most directly. And
he's also the quarterback's coach.
And you're right, QB coach. And so they're together in the office all the time and on the field. Here's his thoughts about his quarterback.
When you watch Casey Bauman, he seems like he's getting through his reads pretty good. I know you guys aren't making it too complicated for him, but it seems like he's getting through his progressions pretty good, and he's certainly done a great job of taking care of the football. No interceptions yet so far through 3 games. He's only taken 1 sack, so his awareness of things that are going on around him seem to be already at a high level. Seems like the next step for him then is just being able to make those easy throws. Coach Choate talked about it on Monday, a lot about just his weight transfer, being a 6'7" guy, and it seems maybe there's even an element of nerves when he has an open guy. So in your mind, what's the next step for him just throwing the ball, especially when it comes to some of the stuff that are some of the more simple parts of your guys' passing game?
Yeah, and I think, like you said, the biggest part of our success the last couple of weeks is taking care of the football as well as our defense creating turnovers. When a team can do that, it makes life a lot easier for the Bobcats. But for Casey to take the next step in terms of throwing the ball effectively and efficiently, definitely there's some mechanical things that we got to clean up, and sometimes it is nerves, but at this point of the season, now he's got 3 games underneath his belt. Those nerves will start settling down more and more the more game reps he gets. And you can see it when he's confident, he's calm, his mechanics are good. When he's a little more not settled into the pocket, his mechanics kind of go out the window. His feet are really loud in the pocket, and that causes some inaccuracies with his throws. So that's something we're working on constantly every single day is, hey, settle your mind down because it's going to settle your body down to be able to go deliver accurate throws. And just go play pitch and catch like you've done your entire life. Because a lot of those throws, they're not super difficult to make in terms of what we're asking to do. But also at the same time, you got to think about it's a whole different world for a young quarterback, playing in college football compared to high school football. When live balls are flying, it happens a little faster than at practice, and even some of the stuff we do at practice to try to simulate that game type of speed.
I'm trying to think of a good analogy, Coulter, that people can relate to of what it's like, the difference of doing something as a matter of practice as opposed to doing something live. For some people, it's test taking. You can go in, you can do all the studying in the world, you research, you know the stuff, and then when you got to sit down and actually get the answers right in an hour in a classroom, it all falls apart for you, And by the way, I'm not saying, or maybe it goes great for you. I don't know. But there's a difference to having to do it now, in this very moment. This is when it has to happen, and this is the way it has to happen, and it's just a matter of working into it. And people talk about the game slowing down and that kind of thing. And if you haven't done it, there's no way to do it except for to do it. You can't you can't practice it. You can't prep. You can't mental rep it. You can't study it. You got to go do it.
I think that the no interception thing is actually a double-edged sword. Because Casey Bauman deserves a ton of credit for not throwing any picks, but also he's tried so hard to not throw any picks that he's not letting it rip like you need to do sometimes. I mean, the best touchdown-interception ratios in NFL history are not by the best guys. It's like Chad Pennington and Brian Griese and Nick Foles.
And Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers is the one exception. But a lot of times you need to be able – I mean, if you're going to let it rip, if you're going to throw 4 touchdowns, you're probably going to throw a pick.
Basketball analogy on this, but I remember John Calipari, he was upset that his team didn't have enough fouls in a particular half of basketball. And he thought that there should be more fouls because he found that to be a lack of effort. You are not pressing the issue enough. If we're not, if we got 3 team fouls and a half over here, that's not good enough. That's a sign that we're not up and pressing the way we need to be. And I think your point is well taken when you talk about the interception thing. Obviously, you never want to have an interception, but also what you also don't have are a tremendous amount of like downfield touchdowns or long gains through the air. So if there's maybe a counterbalance to the no interception thing as well. And look, that's okay. Like again, they've won all the games that they were supposed to win, that they needed to win, and they're 2-1. And this will be interesting if they're quote unquote walking without a net. If Troy Anderson isn't playing, and or Travis Johnson isn't playing in this game, and it is Casey Bauman's show, so to speak, for one game against a team who you are supposed to beat and beat handily. But it can get weird. It can get weird tomorrow in Bozeman if there's not a progression taken, or if maybe there's a weird a step back that feels like it maybe happened heading into, like you said, conference play. All of a sudden, what do you do? And I think that's where it's going. When Jeff Choate made this decision, he said, we don't want Casey looking over his back. We don't want him looking over his shoulder at the potential of being pulled and having Tucker Rovig or somebody else come into him. But this is where rubber meets the road, because he's certainly played well enough to this point to not have to look over his shoulder, and yet he probably hasn't played up to the level that they were hoping that he might get to at this point. And will there be the confidence / patience to just let him do what he needs to do to get there? And that's we will find out soon enough.
Let's give him some Grizz tickets.
Let's do it. Now that we've talked about the Bobcats the whole
we'll get a little bit of the Grizz before we get to Todd Hughes in this next segment here.
It's Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Boys and girls, you want to go to the Grizz Monmouth game? We're just going to make it simple for you, okay? We're going to make it simple for you today. 329-1899. 329-1899, the phone number. All guests join us via the Range Brothers RV phone line, and you will be joining us at the football game because we like you.
Let's make it even better. Right now, you give us a call, 329-1899. You're going to get Grizz tickets. You're also going to get a 6-pack and a sandwich from Warren's Market. So you're going to get fed tonight, or maybe even tomorrow. Drink your 6-pack during the game, or before the game, or after, whatever you want.
Yeah.
All the above.
Maybe 2, 2, and 2.
329-1899, 6-pack and a Sammy from Warren's Market and Grizz Ticks.
It's a pretty good deal. It's a pretty good deal right there. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Todd Hughes, head coach of the Loyola Rams football team, going to join us ahead of their football game tonight, 7 o'clock, against third-ranked Manhattan. Right after this. Hey, Golter, there's a lot of things that are not that fun to do, but there's only a few things that aren't that fun to do, and also you could get really injured doing. So why would you do those? Specifically, clean your gutters. Don't do that. Let experts do it. Let people who are insured do it. Let people who know how to do it. Specifically, Missoula Gutter Cleaning and MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. You call up MissoulaGutterCleaning.com or go online, as it were, into the web. You get yourself an estimate right now, and you will be able to do whatever you want this weekend instead of getting your gutters ready for autumn. Okay? Nobody wants to waste your time doing that, the effort and the risk. MissoulaGutterCleaning.com, you do that. By the way, they will give you a $20 gift card, $20 to your favorite brewery or coffee shop, whatever you want, when the job is done. How about that? So you'll even have something to do while you're not up there risking life and limb trying to get hay and mud and bugs and leaves and wet and gunk and nastiness out of your gutters. Okay? MissoulaGutterCleaning.com. It's that simple. Go there.
It's a crisp fall morning. Time for your daily pumpkin soy latte. As you wait for your coffee, you get a buzz. No, it's not your boss wanting extra whipped cream, but your ADT video doorbell. It's a package. Your new latte machine. No more $5 PSLs. Barista service. Brought to you by ADT. Designing and installing a smart home just for you. Backed by best-in-class 24/7 protection. Learn more at ADT.com. ADT. Real protection. License information available at ADT.com.
Garden City Paint and Glass in Missoula is like your paint doctor. They take the pain out of painting. Don't trust your home to anything less than professional PPG paints from Garden City Paint and Glass. Go to visualizecolors.com. Scan in your room photo to see what color combinations will look best before painting. That's visualizecolors.com. Featuring professional PPG paints. Garden City Paint and Glass in Missoula. Across from the Southside McDonald's at 3217 Brooks.
Hey folks, Ryan Tootell here, and I'm with Josh from the Advocates Injury Attorneys. Josh, if our listeners have been injured in an accident, how can you help?
We're here to help you after a car accident by negotiating with insurance companies, recovering lost wages if you have any, and even getting you into a rental car if you need one. Call us today for a free consultation, and we'll get started helping you right away.
If you need help, get a hold of the Advocates. Call Josh at 640-4444 or online at montanaadvocates.com. You deserve an advocate.
This is Tom Skerritt for the Borgen Project. Each year, nearly 2 million children die from preventable diseases. Each day, 30,000 people die from hunger. 500 each hour are children. The Borgen Project is turning this around. We need your help. To learn more, go to borgenproject.org. That's BORGEN project.org.
Are you interested in putting solar panels on your roof? Do you want the latest on Montana's renewable energy policies? The Montana Renewable Energy Association is a leading voice for renewable energy education and advocacy in Montana. From community-based clean energy events to advocating at the Montana legislature, they work to ensure Montana's future is powered by the sun, wind, and earth. Find out more about MREA and join as a member by visiting montanarenewables.org or calling 406-214-9405.
Dare to Laugh with Broad Comedy, an all-female comedy troupe touring the state to benefit the ACLU of Montana. Broad Comedy has been producing snarky, provocative, and lovable all-women's comedy and musical satire since 2001. With the Broads, nothing is sacred, except an unflinching look at America today. It's outrageous, it's community, it's a party on a stage. Dare to Laugh is Friday, September 27th at the MCT Center for the Performing Arts. For tickets and more information, visit aclumontana.org.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez. Here's some sports news for you. Missoula Big Sky used a powerful second half to defeat Bozeman 2 weeks ago. Trailing 28-0 to Hellgate last week, the Eagles won the second half 21-7, but lost the crosstown showdown. Thursday in Missoula, though, the Eagles almost found the second half magic before falling ultimately 23-20 to Helena. After falling behind 16-7 at halftime, Big Sky scored 2 unanswered touchdowns in the third quarter to take a 26-16 lead into the final frame before Helena scored the final touchdown of the game to win it. Helena had 501 yards of total offense against Big Sky's 176. The Bengals are now 3-1, while Big Sky falls to 1-3.
For the first 22 minutes of the first half, Billings Skyview hung tough with Bozeman, but the first of Asher Croy's 4 touchdown runs and a 33-yard field goal in the final 2 minutes of the second quarter gave Bozeman a 17-0 lead and all the momentum on a way to a 58-0 win. The Hawks scored 5 touchdowns in the third quarter, including an interception return for a touchdown, a blocked punt return for a touchdown. Bozeman now 3-1, Skyview 0-4.
premier prep matchups highlight tonight's slate around the state. Number 3 Manhattan comes to Missoula to take on number 4 Loyola. That game will be on SWX Montana Television at 7. In Class AA, Sentinel is at number 3 Helena Capital. Both those teams are undefeated. And Frenchtown hosts Steve I, while Hamilton is at Dillon in Class A.
This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Aspen Sound.
There's so much stuff going on, man. I can't even believe this. Kansas is about ready to get a bunch of violations handed to them from the NCAA, including level 1 violations, which could include the suspension for up to a year of Bill Self.
Wow. How many times have they won the Big 12 in a row? 90?
I think 90. Yes, 90.
Has anyone ever actually won the Big 12 besides them?
No.
Because it used to be the Big 8.
It was the Big 1, and it's just Kansas. Cam Newton out Sunday. Foot ruled out, not playing. Ziggy Ansah going to make his Seattle Seahawks debut against New Orleans. Everything's going down on a Friday. It is Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy, online at kurtzpolaris.com. You can find us on the Twitter at Gus Tootell, at 102.9 ESPN, and at Skyline Sports MT as well. It is time now.
Texas Tech won the Big 12 last year, actually, snapping Kansas's streak.
Right.
But since the Big 12 was created in 1990,
championship game.
Since the Big 12 was created in 1997, Kansas has won 18 of the Big 12 titles. 18 out of 22
Remarkable.
Or 23. Yeah.
Sorry, I was drinking Florence coffee.
No, it's okay.
Okay, it is time for our Coach's Corner. It is brought to us by Opportunity Bank. Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. Coulter went down to Loyola High School to talk with Todd Hughes. Todd Hughes, the head coach of the Loyola Rams football team. Since Coach Hughes has been the coach, this is his 6th or 7th year as the head coach.
It's his 7th year as the head coach, but he's been at Loyola, I think, now for 13 total years.
Yep.
Yeah, because he was on Dan Weber's staff for a long time, too.
And Todd Hughes, one of our favorite guys, just fun to sit down and talk with him. And he's just a good Montana football coach to sit down with.
That's right. He's an old school Montana guy.
Yeah, and so Loyola has been really good the entire time that he's been the head coach, as they were under Coach Weber as well. Have yet though to win a state championship. And
they won they went back to back in 2012, 2013, but they've lost in the state championship game each of the last 2 years and 3 out of the last 5.
Including Fairfield a year ago.
Yep.
Who is their one blemish on their record so far this year. And now they're playing Manhattan tonight, who's the number 3 team in the state, Loyola number 4. And so one loss between the two schools and added to the number 1 team in the state in Fairfield. So here you go. Our Coach's Corner with Todd Hughes.
Down at Loyola High School. I guess down at Loyola High School football facility with head coach Todd Hughes. Todd, thanks for being with us today.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming.
Loyola 2-1 on the season. The one loss to defending state champion Fairfield, but good wins. First in Bozeman at Bobcat Stadium over Huntley Project, and then last week against Whitehall. And this week, big game. Manhattan coming to town. And this will be 2 of the top 5 teams in Class B right now, according to the Treasure State Media poll. So, Coach, just a basic evaluation of your season so far. What have you thought of the way your team's playing?
You know, I've been pretty happy with it. We played the first 3 games minus some key older kids, and so a lot of these younger kids and you know, first-time starters had taken some very valuable steps. You know, it's going to pay off. Hopefully, down in the long run, when the season gets longer and we get into the playoffs. I think it's going to pay off in the long run.
In the playoffs, you guys have had such great success, but you guys have also fallen short the last couple of years. How much of a motivating factor is that for just the entire program here at Loyola?
You know, you had to bring up falling short. No, that's teasing. You know, we've had a tremendous amount of success. We just can't get over that last hump. I tell everybody I feel like a bridesmaid, never the bride. But hopefully, you know, these kids, I've got 14 seniors. They all remember it very well from last year. A lot of them remember it from 2 years ago when we did the same thing against Eureka and we came up short. And so it weighs on them. They spend a ton of time in the weight room. I truly believe that this is, bar none, the best offensive line I've had in the last 10 years. Wow. They're big. They're strong. They spend a ton of time in the weight room, and we finally get them all healthy and ready to go this weekend.
Take us back to the opener at Bobcat Stadium. What was that experience like for your kids?
Oh, it's always great when we get to play over there. I thank those guys a ton for allowing us to use that facility. It's those kids get a chance. Some of them will never see a stadium like that, especially let alone on the turf playing. So, we've been doing this now. This was our third year in a row with Huntley. We kind of meet in the middle. It's a 0-week game, so it's kind of a practice thing for us, but it's really special for the kids.
Speaking of Montana State, we just saw Joey McElroy's dad, Joe, in here, and Joey's playing over at Montana State, a Missoula Loyola alum. Saw David Kopeng at Grizz practice yesterday, too. It's got to make you proud as a coach, just seeing these guys chase their dreams and play for the Cats and the Grizz.
Oh, absolutely. David actually stopped by on Tuesday night. We have our championship minute night. It's our toughest practice of the week, and I asked him if he came out there to run. He kind of laughed. But, no, it's tremendous to see those kids. I knew that they would be successful when they were freshmen. They have a work ethic that we carry here at Loyola. That's why we're good year in and year out. And by the time those guys were seniors, the kids that were freshmen at that time are the kids that are playing right now. So it's something that, it's one of those things that we try to instill in them with the leadership core of our older kids, and they do it. And then when they come back like that, I got my son played in the 13 championship team. He's on my staff now, and a lot of those kids that are played with there, they still come back periodically through two-a-days and say hi to the boys. And even though these kids, most of them don't even remember him, I tell him all the time he's a has-been now. But it's just we started it then. Literally in 2006, and since then it's kind of just been moving uphill every year. This is what our expectations are.
I didn't realize Bo was coaching for you. That's awesome that he is. I have to tease him because I always tell him, playing for the Cats, winning the state championship, that was all great. But the greatest accomplishment was when we won that flag football city championship in Bozeman that one year. We were so good they kicked us out of the league. So maybe he isn't a has-been. Maybe he should start playing Missoula flag football.
Oh, yeah, he tells me about that all the time. I said, what kind of a route combination? He says, we just threw verts. We just threw verts. But you guys had kind of cheated and had some stacked guys on that.
Yeah, we had all the ex-Cat players, so it was not necessarily a fair team.
Right. No, he does a great job. He's a young coach, eager to learn, eager to, it's funny. I got a couple young coaches on my team, and I have to temper their enthusiasm because I tell them all the time the guy with the chalk last usually wins because they're always, well, what if we do this? What if we do that? And like I said, I'm like, guys, the guy with the last chalk will win it. These are high school kids. We don't have 9 hours a day that we can work this stuff in. But it's great to have their enthusiasm. Coach Ben is an added offensive guy. He's been a head coach for quite some time. So, we've got a good group. We've got a good group, a good staff put together, and I got a good group of kids that are ready to roll.
Quarterback position, Mitzel?
Yes. Yep.
How have you thought of his performance so far?
He's doing well. He's an extreme athletic kid. The game is starting to kind of slow down for him a little bit mind-wise, and he's starting to make the decisions that we need him to make. A lot of times, when you're an outstanding athlete, as he is, those kids always want to make the play. They always want to do more and do more and do more and do more. And part of it is tempering his enthusiasm as well and saying, what, let's play within what we do and everything will be fine. And we really saw that kind of come to fruition last week against Whitehall. I think we had 513 yards of offense. And so, that's starting to come around. We can do that week in and week out. We'll be all right.
Loyola plays at Manhattan on Friday. Give us a general scout. Or is it here?
It's here.
Oh, it's here. Okay. Look at the max prep schedule here. They had it at Manhattan, but in here, Rollins Field. What's the general scout on the Tigers this year?
They're an outstanding football team. I think probably overall, they're probably the most dynamic team when it comes to guys that can throw the ball, down the field, and their kickoff game and their defense. They're big up front. They block extremely well. They block to the whistle. They do the things right. I know that they're well coached, and so I think it'll be a really big test.
Opportunity Bank, Coach's Corner with longtime Loyola head coach Todd Hughes. Todd, thanks so much for being with us.
You bet. Thanks for coming, Coulter.
There you go, Todd Hughes. Good work, Coulter. The Opportunity Bank Coach's Corner, your local bank, your opportunity. And that game tonight, again, SWX Montana Television coming up an hour after we're off the air on the TV. Watch Loyola Manhattan right here on SWX. Coulter, I know that you like things, but there is nothing that you like more than what we're about to do. Like, you are a child on Christmas Day
This is way more excited than I ever was as a child. I got these cards 3 days ago. These have been burning a hole through my desk. I wanted to open them all. So
tell them, Coulter, about Zootown Sports Cards and the rip session that we're about to have.
Yeah, Zootown Sports Cards, my favorite place in town. It's right there on the corner of Higgins and South Avenue, right across from Dornblazer Field. They have all sorts of memorabilia and all sorts of great cards. And you can buy cards, you can sell cards, you can trade in cards. I traded in a couple sweet autographs and got myself a nice throwback Michael Jordan the other day. Got myself a LeBron James. And right now, and across the nation, there's a new promotion going on through Panini. It's called the Panini Player of the Day Football Card Promo. And customers will qualify for prizes. You're about to open a pack of these Donruss Paninis.
Yes, I am.
If you get a player,
NFL football card.
If you get a Player of the Day card or a Wild Card Player of the Day, then that means you are entered for possible prizes, which include promo packs, T-shirts, posters, and more. The local grand prize is an encapsulated autograph card from Zootown Sports Cards, and local winners will then be entered into the grand prize to spend a day with an NFL player. So if you get the grand prize, you might get to spend a day with Saquon Barkley or Tom Brady or whoever it is you might pick. The contest lasts for 32 days, September 20th, which is actually today. How about that? All the way through October 31st. So, Gus, any good luck over there?
Let's see. I got a Sterling Shepard. I got a Christian Kirk. I got a Carl Joseph. We'll see how Carl Joseph comes around. I'm very excited. I'm optimistic about it. Cortland Sutton. You're already Robbie Anderson. Very big wide receiver. I got a 2019. Now, this is odd. I got a 2019 Joe Montana, Coulter.
Wow.
How about that?
That's cool.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
What'd you get? What do you got? Got Player of the Day?
I got an A-Raj.
A-Raj. Is it a Player of the Day one, too, or is it just a straight up?
I don't know how to read
I'll
these
decipher.
things. It's different. It's glossy. It's like the quarterback himself, like very, very good. Miles Sanders rookie card. See how that works out. And the Gridiron Kings, Drew Lock.
Man, this might be.
I don't feel good about
this. Might be
Drew
the best pack of cards I've opened as an adult. Right here, I'm serious. I'm serious, dude. I got a Shoshone Ohtani rookie card. I got a Mike Trout limited edition rookie and stars. I got a Steven Gonsalves rookie jerseys and autographs. They got a jersey and an autograph. This is 1 out of 199.
Wow.
The odds of this are. I mean, this is probably
1 out of 199.
I mean, this is probably worth. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what these Chronicles are like, but this is probably worth at least $20-$25, but maybe even more than that. Got a sweet Alex Bregman insert. Got a Jose Ramirez Obsidian insert, and got an Albert Pujols insert as well. So you got a whole bunch of inserts in this pack. This is pretty darn cool. These Chronicles are just out, fresh on the market. So go check them out. Zootown Sports Cards. They have monthly trading days, and they have all sorts of stuff going on. It's a great place for kids, a great place for adults, a great place to invest your money, a great place to continue a hobby. Zootown Sports Cards right there, corner of Higgins and South Avenue in Missoula.
Hey folks, Ryan Tootell here, and I'm with Josh of the Advocates Injury Attorneys. Josh, what are people left dealing with after an accident?
Well, quite a few things, actually. We see people that are in pain, they still need to get to work, they need to raise their kids, and now they have to take time to go see doctors and other healthcare providers. They're frustrated with working with the insurance companies and getting the runaround. We'll take on the burden of dealing with the insurance companies so you can get the best settlement possible and get back to your life.
Find your advocate online at montanaadvocates.com. There are a lot of lawyers. You deserve an advocate. Alpine Touch has been part of the fabric of Montana for more than 60 years. Decades ago, Russell Street started selling his touch of magic in whitefish. Years later, Alpine Touch's all-purpose seasoning remains a favorite. It's tailgating season, and there's no better way to spice up your grill before a Grizz game than with Alpine Touch. Go to alpinetouch.com now and use the checkout code ESPN10 for a 10% discount on your order. Alpine Touch is here to keep your mouth watering all football season. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
Katie O'Keefe's has been a neighborhood favorite in the corner of the Stevens Center for years. But if you haven't been into Katie's lately, come on in and make sure to turn left. The downstairs bar is completely remodeled with one of the biggest, best spaces anywhere in Missoula to watch games, play games, and hang out with all your friends. Katie O'Keefe's is your horse racing simulcast headquarters in Missoula. Come into Katie's and turn left for cribbage, darts, pool, and much, much more. Katie O'Keefe's, where the cocktails are always cold and the people are always friendly.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. You know, we've been helping keep folks safe on the road around here since 1952. That's why you can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires during our fall tire sale. So swing by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Limited time offer while supplies last. Discount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
On Russell, across from the fairgrounds.
We ate a lot of steaks before we came up with the Montana Club's Private Reserve Cut Angus. It's as good a steak as you're going to get. Our Private Reserve Cut Angus is specially cut for us. And with our custom seasoning, it has a flavor that's absolutely incomparable. We're confident that it will satisfy the most discriminating steak customer for an unrivaled steak experience. Real Montana, real food. The Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Soft Landing Missoula, along with sponsors Imagination Brewing Company and Sweet Peaks Ice Cream, is hosting Missoula's 3rd annual Welcoming Week. In tandem with thousands of other organizations and communities nationwide, Soft Landing hopes to inspire and celebrate welcoming all people to the Missoula community. Highlights of this year's week will include an Eritrean coffee ceremony, an international soccer match, and a Middle Eastern dessert pop-up sale. For more info and a full calendar of events, please visit softlandingmissoula.org.
Tootell and Nuanez on 102.9 ESPN Radio for Missoula.
Destiny's Child. Come on.
Back when Beyonce was good.
Stop. You stop. Mute it. It's Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. Queen Bee, you shan't speak negatively. Broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris Studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy, online at kurtzpolaris.com. It is time now for our favorite segment of the week. It is sports with a chick who doesn't know sports. Her name is Carolyn. It's brought to us by the Missoula Winery and Event Center. Hold on tight. Off we go.
It's Friday, and you know what that means. It's time to listen to a chick who doesn't know about sports talk about sports. Our friend Carolyn in with us again. Hello, Carolyn. How are you?
Happy Friday, y'all.
Happy Friday. Wow. Glad you're in a good mood. This is nice.
I had a great week. So.
I think we are like at 98% on segments with you that have required the bleep at some point, and I hope that we can get through this one clean, but I am not anticipating that that's going to be the case.
I don't ever know with me or you because you're kind of a,
loose cannon.
Me?
Oh.
She's saying you're a tightwad.
Yeah. You're the one who does the bleeping. I think
you're right.
It's
It's a family-friendly show, despite your presence on it.
The hilarious part is that Ryan is an anarchist, but he acts like he's not on the show for no reason at all.
Well, I did run into a client at Rattlesnake Gardens on
That's
Friday.
the nicest thing you've ever said about me, other than the Letterman thing. Sorry, go ahead, Carolyn.
I did run into Barrett at Rattlesnake Gardens on Friday, and he said how he likes the segment, and then I realized that I am disgusting, and I was actually a little embarrassed for myself.
Well, you shouldn't be embarrassed.
Okay.
I've cleaned it up. It's
Oh,
all
thanks.
presentable now,
Okay.
thanks to me and the power of wizardry that I possess.
Of the bleeps.
Okay, well, let's talk about some sports, Carolyn. What have you come across this last week? Heaven only knows what could have been in the news and the sports news that would have caught your attention this week.
Well, I mean, Antonio Brown was dropped by Nike.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, dropped by Nike.
Yes.
He was.
Know that? Oh,
I did know
thought
that.
I was bringing breaking news.
How closely have you followed this Antonio Brown saga?
Well, I know he's been dropped by Nike, but he's still playing football.
He is, because there's evidently been a statute of limitations that was crossed, and so there can't be a formal investigation. Is that right, or a criminal investigation? So you could still do like a civil suit.
That's what this has been all along, right? 'Cause
Right.
The initial filing was a civil suit. That's why there's been no law enforcement involved in this from day one.
And that's also why there's been no action taken by the league as such, because it's not a criminal investigation. It's a civil one, which I guess they don't have a framework or something like that to
So what
deal
would
with.
happen if this goes forward and he's found guilty in a civil suit? Will he?
I have no idea.
I think he just has
You
to
don't
pay
have your law
the
degree?
person. I don't think he has to.
Interesting.
If there's no legal violation here, I don't think the league The league can't do anything.
Well, the league can do whatever
they
it wants.
They can't because it's about because they have
the commissioner could just say
they have the personal conduct policy, but there's only ever been one guy who was suspended for a personal conduct violation that did not result from a crime, and that's Ezekiel Elliott.
So, but the point is that we don't know, right? What could actually happen? And
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Do you think the Patriots should do something as like a PR, like for PR more? You know what I mean? Like that
No.
it makes them look better or
No.
worse or what?
No, I think that
the Patriots don't give one rip about anything
That's true.
at
They are
all other than
cheaters.
winning football games. Bill Belichick is a curmudgeonly old football coach, and Robert Kraft is 100 years old, and they do not care.
They just
That's it.
deflate footballs.
At least,
okay.
yes.
Well,
here's the thing, though. If he doesn't have he has no criminal charges. So therefore, it would be to me. I understand the climate that we live in, and I understand a lot of these allegations against Antonio Brown are disgusting. And but again, he's not guilty until he's proven guilty, regardless if it's in a civil court or a criminal court. I think it'd be a bad precedent to set if you suspend a guy for a personal conduct violation because he's enduring a civil suit. That opens the door now for all sorts of people to sue NFL players, and if they're just getting sued left and right, and then that means then they're getting suspended and not paid, that's bad precedent.
they'll have to get Colin back on the field.
Jeez, that's never happening ever. At this point, that's just so out of the cards. It's not possible.
The thing, though, too, is when it comes to penalizing or like disciplining players for things that are happening away from football, the absolute modus operandi is to pass the buck. That's why it always goes to Roger Goodell and the league office, because the teams want nothing to do with that internally at all.
Well, Tom Brady, my favorite.
Yes.
Invited Antonio to stay with him while he's getting settled. So there's that olive branch.
Well, I don't know if there's enough room in the house.
Because they have so many kids?
Because their house is so small.
Oh, because they have that ridiculous mansion?
Yeah, $38 million. Not $300 like James Harden's, but it is
$300.
Well, it's also in Jersey or whatever.
I was listening to that segment on the show last week while I was driving to Eugene since it was pre-recorded. I was laughing so hard thinking about Carolyn imagining a $300 million house.
Listen.
At some point, the numbers don't matter. Like when we talk about the national debt, nobody even considers it because you can't actually imagine what
maybe
$40 trillion is. It makes no sense.
Have you ever seen Evander Holyfield's house?
No.
Evander Holyfield lives in a 50-bedroom house.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
It has not one, not two, but 3 bowling alleys in it.
I can't imagine trying to clean that place.
Oh, no. There's a documentary about that house and him, and it is the saddest thing ever because when his kids grow up and then his wife divorces him, he's living in this house by himself.
What state is
it? It's in Georgia.
Oh.
So it's only like $1.5 million.
He could turn it into a hotel. He could make like a B&B.
Well, back to our conversation from the other week. He's broke now.
Oh, well, then he should.
I mean,
He's
Evander
not gonna
Holyfield running an Airbnb would be something I'd go.
Oh my
I'd
God,
fly
that's
to
a
Georgia.
great reality show.
Isn't it?
Oh,
the next
I'm going to take that to the
special.
people.
Okay.
So Tom Brady, I was reading that Tom Brady wanted Antonio to stay in his shack, and then I read that Tom and Giselle like to host welcome barbecues every year for the team, and all I could picture was how lame that barbecue would be.
Just like asparagus and cucumber rounds.
Yeah, like there's no burgers, there's no ribs. It would suck. I bet there's no beer.
Tom's doing planks in between.
Oh, God.
Now,
Making
first
smoothies.
Of all, there's got to be beer. We've seen Tom house a beer, right? He does he just drops it's gone in like 2 seconds.
I don't believe it.
Yeah, it's on TV.
He went to Michigan.
Well, he doesn't now. I guarantee. He's sitting there eating his vegetables like a good boy.
TV12, baby.
Ugh.
What else
Anyway, one little Dennis Rodman note.
Yes.
He revealed this week that Madonna was going to pay him $20 million to impregnate her.
I'm wondering what the level of credibility is on that.
Yeah.
Like if Madonna comes around and says, yes, this is a fact, then...
Well, they were dating in the 90s.
They were dating in the 90s.
I don't know if they went on dates.
That's a very funny joke, Carolyn. I think I get it. Here's my issue is that, do you really have to pay, somebody that you're dating? I don't understand that. Anyways.
I think she probably wanted to be bound to him genetically and not personally. You know what I mean? You pay him so that you get the baby and then you don't have to deal with Dennis Rodman for the rest of your life.
So anyway, Dennis Rodman probably is bumming out that he missed out on that $20 million because now he's robbing yoga studios and the OC. So
you guys got to watch the Dennis Rodman 30 for 30. It's really good. Really sad.
good. That's a great way to end this. So happy Friday.
That is your homework for the weekend. Go watch Dennis Rodman. Carolyn, thank you very much. Sports update from a chick that doesn't know about sports, presented by the Missoula Winery and Events Center. Great place for your holiday party. Give them a call today.
There you go. Carolyn doing what she does very best, which is not that much about sports. And yes, we do know that Antonio Brown has now been released and probably is no longer the roommate of Tom Brady and Giselle. That's probably a fact. The chick who doesn't know about sports, doesn't know sports, brought to us by the Missoula Winery and Event Center. Great place to host a party, host an event. You got, coming up on football stuff going on, obviously holiday stuff forthcoming. Missoula Winery and Event Center, the place you want to be. Tattoo Girl Wine, that's the stuff you want to drink. They got it all for you at the Missoula Winery and Event Center. Hour 1 in the books. Hour 2 straight ahead. You a Seahawks fan? This next segment is for you. 12 for the 12s. Next.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Town Pump, pump it up.
There's two things that can really stress a person out. That's hunger and not enough time. Town Pump can help you out with both. They've got your meal waiting for you. 4-piece chicken and JoJo's with ranch, only $5.99. And Modelo 12-pack cans, $11.99. Stop by Town Pump today.
Town Pump. Right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
With busy days running us down, swing by a Florence Coffee for a boost of antioxidants and grab a soothing cup of tea. We carry a wide variety of Montana tea and spice flavors like Montana Gold, Mountain Huckleberry, Lemon Mint, just to name a few. So stop by any Floco location for some delicious tea, hot or iced, and visit us at FlorenceCoffeeCo.com.
The best flavor under the big sky. Florence Coffee Company.
In Western Montana, we know shopping local matters, and you may think you'd pay more for the quality and customer service that comes with it, but not at Selway Armory. Selway Armory is locally owned with knowledgeable specialists that can answer your questions. In addition to the expertise, though, Selway Armory also has a bigger selection and lower prices than the box stores. When you're in the market for firearms and accessories, save money with the experts at Selway Armory. Selway Armory, 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6, and online at selwayarmory.com.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
Hi, this is Michael Legg, Artistic Director at Montana Repertory Theater. If you loved our season opener, Go Please Go, or even if you missed it but still want to see the rest of the season, you're in luck. Season ticket packages are still on sale for just $70. That's $70 for 3 more innovative and exciting shows, including our production of War of the Worlds in January. Go to montanarep.com to get your tickets today.
Have you been hurt or disabled? Are you missing time from work and not sure what to do? I'm attorney Chris Helmer, and Clark Fork Law Offices in Missoula is here to help. Our team specializes in worker compensation, personal injury, and Social Security disability. We fight for the benefits you deserve. Call Clark Fork Law at 728-0168 for a free consultation or visit clarkforklaw.com. Again, 728-0168.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez, ESPN Sports Center. Welcome to the weekend, people. Missoula Big Sky used a powerful second half to defeat Bozeman 2 weeks ago. Then, trailing 28-0 to Hellgate last week, the Eagles won the second half 21-7, though it wasn't a loss. Thursday in Missoula, the Eagles almost found second half magic again before falling ultimately 23-20 to Helena High. After falling behind 16-7 at half, Big Sky scored 2 unanswered touchdowns in the third quarter to take a 20-16 lead to the final frame, but Helena scored the final touchdown. The Bengals also racked up 501 yards of total offense to Big Sky's 176. Helena High is now 3-1, while the Eagles are 1-3.
For the first 22 minutes of the first half, Billings Skyview hung tough with Bozeman, but the first of Asher Croy's 4 touchdowns and a 33-yard field goal by Alexander Swan in the final 2 minutes of the second quarter gave Bozeman a 17-0 lead and all the momentum on the way to a 58-0 win. The Hawks scored 5 touchdowns in the third quarter, including a pick 6 and a blocked punt for a touchdown. Bozeman now 3-1, Skyview 0-4.
Premier prep matchups highlight tonight's slate around the state as number 3 Manhattan goes to Missoula to take on number 4 Loyola in Class B. That game will be right here on SWX Montana Television. In Class AA, Battle of Undefeateds in Helena as Helena Capital hosts Missoula Sentinel. They're both 3-0. And Hellgate is 2-0. They're hosting Flathead, who is 0-3.
This ESPN Sports Center is presented by Clark Fork Law.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more. A woman done left and took all the reason I was working for.
It's the Antonio Brown playlist on a Friday afternoon.
Out the door.
I don't even know what time it is. I don't even know what day it is. I don't think Antonio Brown does either.
It's Friday and it's 5 and it's the weekend, boys and girls. It is officially here. Boy, howdy. How are you? Great to be with you. And if you're a Seahawk fan, this is the time for you, okay? It's time for 12 minutes for the 12s, which you do each and every week at 5 o'clock on Friday. We're going to start it right now. It is Tootell Nuanez. We are broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy, and online at kurtzpolaris.com. You can find us on the World Wide Web, 1029ESPN.com. You can listen live there, listen live tab. It is available thanks to Opportunity Bank, your local bank, your opportunity. And if you missed anything in the first hour of the show, you can check it out on the podcast, the Tootell Nuanez podcast, all over the place on your favorite podcasting platforms. You'll listen to Tootell Nuanez podcast, rate it, review it, love it, like it, however the thing works, do it. Appreciate that. It's brought to us by the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Coulter, 1029 ESPN Radio in Missoula is the official affiliate of the Seattle Seahawks all season long. We will bring you the Seahawks New Orleans Saints game on Sunday. Ziggy Ansah making a Seattle Seahawk debut. All of a sudden, Coulter, a team that couldn't get a pass rush, has Jadeveon Clowney and Ezekiel Ansah coming off the edges. I mean, gracious mercy, if these boys are healthy, what's going to happen?
It's just amazing the what have you done for me lately meat market that the NFL is.
Oh, no.
Jadeveon Clowney's like 26 years old.
Right.
He's just out.
Hey.
But oftentimes when the guys are out and then they still have gas left in the tank and now they have a newfound motivation.
68-year college football coach Pete Carroll, for one.
No doubt.
Bouncing around.
But like when you still have something left to prove and you know you still got something left in the tank, that's when you can be the most scary you've ever been.
Well, both of these gentlemen fit that bill. And in any case, so this is what we're going to do. The top of the hour, every Friday, 5 o'clock, 12 minutes for the 12s. 12-minute interview that we're going to do with somebody who knows about the Seattle Seahawks, specifically Michael Sean Dugar. Michael Sean is a beat writer, covers the Seattle Seahawks for The Athletic. He went to Wazoo, covered actually Idaho for a while.
That's how I got to know Michael Sean. He was covering the Idaho Vandals for the Lewistown Tribune, which is a good paper, really good paper, actually. And they cover the Vandals as hard as anybody because Lewistown's only, 30 minutes from Moscow.
Right.
And so, they're like a local beat paper. And I met him at the Big Sky tournament in Reno, thought he was doing a really good job. And so then here we are. A couple years later, he's doing a great job covering the Seahawks for The Athletic.
He went to work for the Seattle Post Intelligencer covering the Hawks and then moved on from there to The Athletic. So here you go. Our inaugural 12 for the 12 segment, our conversation on the Regis Brothers RV phone line with Michael Sean Dugar of The Athletic. Well, happy now to launch our inaugural segment, the 12 for the 12s, with Michael Sean Dugar, who covers the Seattle Seahawks for The Athletic. Michael Sean, thanks so much for taking some time and being with us. We're looking forward to doing this with you throughout the year.
No problem. Anything for the 12s, especially the ones in Montana.
Hey, there you go. I mean, they're everywhere. They're infiltrating the universe here. So even out here with the deer and the bears, we got some Seahawk fans. Imagine that. Want to talk about coming off of 2 wins, 2-0, the Seahawks obviously, but just barely getting by. I mean, 3
total points in terms of their combined wins, and then going up against another backup quarterback this week in New Orleans. What's the state of the Seahawks right now? Got to be happy with the wins, but still very close, and it looks like they still have a lot of room to improve.
Yeah, I mean, unless your point differential looks like the Patriots right now, which I think theirs is like, 75 or something like that, which is a lot more than 3, which is the Seahawks right now, then, yeah, you got some areas to improve in. But Pete Carroll has a brand of football that, and I talked to him about this last month. He basically was like, look, Bud Grant always said, at least I think it was Bud Grant, longtime Vikings coach. It was like, look, if you did it, the way to judge if you did a good coaching job is, did your team have a chance to win the game in the end, or, in the fourth quarter? That kind of drives why Pete Carroll has that speech, at the end. Can you win the game in the first quarter? No, blah, blah.
Right.
Can you win the game in the fourth quarter? Everyone says, yeah. Because, at the end of the day, did your team have a chance to win? And it makes sense when you think about it, why Pete believes in that and why his team never gets blown out. I think they've been blown out twice since Russell's been drafted, right? Which is just unreal with, how often the good teams can even put up a stinker in this league. So because he has that philosophy, they're always in it at the end of the game. However, the other team is usually going to be in it too, right? Because the gap between teams, is not that significant. Yeah, like the Patriots are 40 points better than the Dolphins. Yeah, right. Okay.
So is everybody.
Right. Like the Ravens were 50 points better than the Dolphins.
Right.
I think so. Throw the Dolphins out of this, and for the most part, the worst team and the best team, they're only separated. Like, look at the worst defense versus the best defense. So you probably get like a scoring differential of probably like 10 points.
Right.
Right. Like, it separates the worst team from the best team. So the gap isn't large. So if your philosophy is, all right, let's just have a chance at the end, you're going to have a lot of games where the other team has a chance too. And Pete's all right with that. And it works because he has one of the more clutch quarterbacks, in the league. It's kind of all the perfect things working together, but it's all stems from his philosophy.
We've talked about the Seahawks and the evolution of the roster under Pete Carroll over the last couple of years, and it's been so interesting to watch because I think that in the NFL now, I think everybody understands the basic premise of what's going on in terms of the way teams are now paying quarterbacks and then the way that they can impact your franchise. I think the Seahawks are kind of on the forefront of that. They won that Super Bowl when Russell Wilson was getting paid like a third-round draft pick. They were able to pay the whole rest of the roster, and they had a lot of really highly paid guys. And since then, they had to pay Russell Wilson. A lot of those guys have gone by the wayside, or they weren't able to re-sign them, or they just became expendable because of age, whatever it might be. But I think that there's a lot of skeptics that thought there's no way the Seahawks are going to be able to keep their head above water. As soon as that Russell Wilson contract is in full force, they're not going to be able to support him. They're not going to be able to surround him. But now here they are, 2-0, maybe not even close to the brand name guys that they've had in the last couple of years, especially at the offensive skill positions, especially in the defensive secondary. In your mind, how have they been able to do that, and how much is this an influence of Pete Carroll?
You don't survive in this league as long as Pete has without being to reload. This isn't like Popovich and the Spurs, right, where you get like the same core guys. And maybe they have like the core is Bobby and Russell, whatever. Maybe you count KJ too. But like in basketball, if you have a core of 3 guys, well, you're only playing 5 at a time. So like half the team stays the same, essentially. Where in football, you have to be able to rebuild. That's what Bill Belichick was able to do every year. Like, look at some of the guys. Like, he's been winning since 2002, man. Like that takes some reloading. Even the Steelers are a typically good team every year, right? But we're a long ways away from like James Harrison and Troy Polamalu. That was a long time ago, and they're still really good. The Packers have usually been a good team, but they've moved on from having like Charles Woodson playing safety or whoever back when they were really good. So like you have to reload in this league. The Saints too as well. But look at what all those teams have in common: the same quarterback. Once you have a good quarterback, you're just plugging in. At that point. Now, I mean, plugging in is very hard. You still have to draft well, and the Seahawks haven't done that at the top of the draft as much. But, like, if you think about it, this is the other part. You need an ego to be a really good coach in this league, right? Like, if you're Pete, you're this mad scientist who found the Legion of Boom, right? You and John and your scouts, you found the Legion of Boom in 2010, 2011, 2012. Boom, right? Cool. You created Legion of Boom. You have to, in this league, that you can do that again. Doesn't mean you find another carbon copy of like Richard and Earl and Cam, but you have to believe as a staff, and like that goes from scouting to coaches to whatever, that you can create that again. You just have to, because this game doesn't last forever. The guys only play for 4 years on average.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think that. You have to have the ego like, yo, I'll just make another Richard. I'll make another Cam. I'll make another Earl, because at the end of the day, it's our scheme and it's our culture and it's our coaching staff. At the end of the day, maybe that's not true. I have to actually argue that it's not, but you have to think that. And if you think that and you believe in it, and everyone else in the building believes in it, then yeah, you can have a level of consistency regardless of who's playing, as long as you have a really good quarterback. It doesn't work without a really good quarterback.
Michael Sean Dugar joining us. He writes, covers the Seahawks for The Athletic, also co-hosts the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast. You can check him out there as well. And he joins us as we cover the Seattle Seahawks, 12 for the 12s, 5 o'clock every Friday. Michael Sean, we got to bring this back to Montana, though, and Will Dissly going out, getting a couple of scores last week. I mean, this guy, he got, obviously a major injury. I think it was game 3, maybe 4 last year. But before that, he had a couple touchdowns last season. He gets 2 here. He's got like 4 scores in 4 or 5 games as a pro. This is the best tight end in the league. Am I right? Coming out of Montana, this guy here, he's killing it.
He is killing it. I wouldn't go so far as that tight end in the league. Just the guy.
Am I out over my skis a little on that one? All right. Anointed too early.
There's a guy with a comb over in Kansas City who's pretty good. I think he's got the title right now. Now that Gronk is somewhere losing weight and kicking it with LeBron James. But Will is really, really good, man. Yeah, it was week 4 that he suffered that. I think a torn patella tendon.
Yeah.
I believe. And it kind of got overshadowed because at the same day, Earl Thomas broke his leg. So people kind of forgot about Will. And Will's injury happened in the first quarter, and Earl's happened, I believe, in the 4th. So the entire game had been played without Will, where it's like, oh, my goodness. And Will also didn't flip off Pete Carroll when he got taken off the field. I guess that was the big difference.
That was the other. He did not get the memes going with the bird there towards Pete.
Yeah, no, he did not. And good for him, because he's still under contract, so he shouldn't have done that. But the thing with Will is it kind of goes back to what I was saying about ego, right? And basically roster management. Okay, cool. You had Jimmy Graham, and I think he led the league in red zone touchdowns. His final year here, I think he was second in the league in receiving touchdowns in general that year with 10. But for $10 million a year, which I think he's also making in Green Bay right now, Seahawks had to figure, all right, cool. This Jimmy guy is great, but he don't even block. So if we're going to, pay $10 million to anybody, we're going to make sure they can do, some blocking and some pass catching. And instead of paying for that, well, they did pay for that. They were like, we'll give Ed Dixon $3 million or whatever. We can just draft somebody, because you have to think that. Otherwise, you would never even need the draft. You have to think we can just find a cheaper version of this guy who's offering said talent. The only time you don't think that is when you have somebody who's the best at their position. Or you have someone like Tyler or Justin Britt or B-Mac who's like, oh, okay, cool, you're kind of in the middle, so we can just kind of get you on a bargain. But other than that, you have to think we can replace them. And Will, his credit, man, I think he's got, I want to get this wrong, 5 touchdowns and 6 starts or something. The dude is crazy. He's only got 12 catches or 12 or 13 catches, and he's catching touchdowns. So, he blocks, right? So he can hold his own on the line and a play action, sneak out of the back. I think he did that for his first career touchdown in Denver last year, week 1. He's a more versatile player in this offense, at least, than they had in Jimmy Graham, which is saying a lot, because Jimmy's one of the best receiving tight ends I've ever seen in my life. So Will, but because he has that versatility, he's a better asset, because in this league you've got to block. Especially in this offense, when you got Jermaine Fetty getting pushed back, and you got your first 2 games of week 1 were against Von Miller and Khalil Mack, and even this week you get Cam Jordan, T.J. Watt, you have to help. And once you can do that and then go out and torch the other team passing, then you're a great asset, better than some of the tight ends they've had in the past.
We get you out of here on this. Seahawks play the Saints, and that was going to be a premier matchup, and it still might be, but the New Orleans Saints without Drew Brees for the first time in a long time. Sean Payton's been talking all week, playing a 2-quarterback system. Teddy Two Gloves Bridgewater is going to be the starter, but they're also going to have a healthy dose of Taysom Hill. Just set the stage for this matchup for us.
And the two quarterback system is such a bad idea.
Such a bad idea.
I hope Drew. I mean, I think Sean Payton is like kind of like playing coy. I don't think he really plans on like an equal, snap share between the two, because that's just so bad, right? You see teams try that in college, and it just doesn't work. I think they were trying that. Drop a Montana name. I think they were trying that with Chad Chalich at Idaho.
Oh yeah.
With I think it was him and Matt Linehan were doing the two quarterback thing, if I'm not mistaken.
They're still doing it in Idaho right now, and it ain't working out all that great, I must say.
Yeah, no, man, you want to talk about nepotism bringing down a program.
Oh man.
But that's neither here nor there. But anyway, the two quarterback thing, it doesn't work. You need one guy who's really good, because if you put Taysom in there, right, Seahawks know he's not throwing the ball. He did not even to say he cannot throw. At BYU he could throw. In the NFL he does not throw, and that's more important. Like you haven't done it, so we're not worried about it, and we know that's not your strength. I think he's attempted 7 passes, in his career. I think he's caught more balls than he's thrown. Right, so like you can't just put him out there and run your offense because you're one dimensional. The worst thing in the NFL is being one dimensional. That's why every defense's goal is to take away something. Some teams are like, all right, cool, we're going to make sure you can't throw. A lot of teams are like, let's stop the run first and make them one-dimensional. So, like, Taysom makes them one-dimensional. You can't lean on him for an entire game. So they're going to play Teddy. Can Teddy beat the Seahawks in Seattle? I don't know. Probably not. But, he can make it close because he has all-pro talent helping him out. Michael Thomas is one of the best receivers in the league. Alvin Kamara is one of the best running backs, in the league. Like Sean Payton's one of the best coaches in the league. You put that together, and any team can win one game. Like I don't think the Dolphins go 0-16. Like any team can luck around and win one. Actually, I take that back. The Dolphins might go.
They might. Yes, they might.
But the Saints can luck up and win one game. Let's see. Kirk Cousins came in here in 2017 with no run game and no O-line, beat the Legion of Boom. Right? Like this was in 2017. Yeah. Without Earl Thomas, but still, like, you can do it. So I don't think the Saints will win. I think I projected them to lose by 10, 23-13. But I wouldn't be surprised if, you see big days from the big-time players on the Saints. Marshawn Lattimore, Cam Jordan, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas. Like, those guys ain't scrubs, right? Those are elite talents. So because you have them and Teddy Bridgewater doesn't, like, completely suck, you have a chance. And so Seattle's still going to have to play some of its best football to win this game.
2:25 Mountain kickoff. That game will be on air on ESPN Radio here in Missoula and Western Montana starting at noon with the pregame, and then the game starting at 2:25. Whenever the Saints go to Seattle, it brings nothing but warm happiness to every Seahawk fan because outside of the Super Bowl win, the single greatest moment in Seahawk history happened on a playoff game where the Seahawks were major underdogs. That was a 7-9 football team that made it into the postseason, and then you give the ball to one beast mode, and it's all over but the shouting. And people will be reliving that moment for the next 2 days for sure across the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, yeah, I think the Steelers played, actually I know, they played Super Bowl 40 highlights when the Seahawks came on to the Steelers, and I was like, ooh, man, that's a great, like, troll job. That's pretty petty, especially since Walter Jones was at the game. He was sitting just a few seats from me. I was like, oh, that's a burn. Like, that's really good. And what the Seahawks should do is just, like, I don't even know if they should do player introductions, especially since I think the league just banned pyrotechnics because there was a fire.
That's the fire.
At some
Unreal.
stadium. I don't remember who had the fire. It was a big
Tennessee,
fire,
symbolic of their future this year.
Oh, ouch. So I think the league today just banned that, and the Seahawks use fire when the guys run onto the field. They should just scratch that, and everyone should look up at the big screen and just play the Beastquake. Just every angle possible. Like, play the ESPN Deportes call, play the Steve Rabel call, play like whoever, play the Saints guys call too, just to hear the depression in his voice. Like, they should just keep doing that on loop for about like 5 minutes and then just go to the national anthem right after that.
I love it. Michael Sean Dugar. Find him at The Athletic, covering the Seattle Seahawks, and on the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast as well. Michael Sean, really appreciate the time. Look forward to this all year, all right?
Oh, no problem. Thank you guys for having me.
There you go. That was fun. Good to talk to him. Look forward to doing that again. It's 5 o'clock every single Friday. 12 minutes for the 12. A little more than 12 minutes today. But 12 for the 12s, 5 o'clock every Friday right here for you Seahawk fans, getting you set for the weekend. It is Tootell Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television. Quick break. It's time to pick some NFL games against the spread. Can we do a little bit of that, Coulter?
Yes, sir.
On the other side, I'm going to pick some of the games of the week for you right after this. Hey, want to remind everybody, on October 10th through the 13th, it is the Watson Children's Shelter Tennis Pro-Am, hosted by the Peak Health and Wellness Center. I, yours truly, I'm very happy to be associated and a part of this thing. We'll be emceeing the auction. We're auctioning off tennis pros, people. Real live human beings who are great at their sports to play with you to try and win a Pro-Am tennis tournament over the course of the weekend. So on Thursday the 10th from 6 to 9:30 p.m. at the Barn on Mullen, you know where it is, right out there, that big, beautiful facility out there at the Ranch Club. You go out there, you get yourself a check together, maybe some cash, maybe an online debit, and you buy yourself a professional tennis player, okay? I will auction them off to you, and then you go and play tennis all weekend long for a great cause for the Watson Children's Shelter. You are going to have a full breakfast bar on both Saturday and Sunday, lunch on Saturday, a tour of the shelter, obviously snacks, refreshments, everything throughout, and Saturday night, a hosted VIP party for you and a guest. It's going to be a ton of fun, so come out and participate. Info and tickets are online at watsonchildrensshelter.org. It's watsonchildrensshelter.org. And again, it's Thursday the 10th of October through the 13th, the whole weekend, but the auction is the night of the 10th, the evening of the 10th, that Thursday. Come out, spend the evening with me, get yourself a great tennis player, donate to a wonderful cause. There's a silent auction as well online that will be live on October 4th, so we'll talk more about that as we get into it. Come out there and do the right thing for the kids in this community who need help the most, okay? Watson Children's Shelter, a great, great facility, great venue, and we're going to go help them all together, okay? Let's take care of these people. Back. Some picks against the spread next.
Alpine Touch has been part of the fabric of Montana for more than 60 years. Decades ago, Russell Street started selling his touch of magic in whitefish. Years later, Alpine Touch's all-purpose seasoning remains a favorite. It's tailgating season, and there's no better way to spice up your grill before a Grizz game than with Alpine Touch. Go to alpinetouch.com now and use the checkout code ESPN10 for a 10% discount on your order. Alpine Touch is here to keep your mouth watering all football season. Alpine Touch, Montana's special spice.
Now, the Montana Club's happy hour features BOGO beverages. Our expertly mixed cocktails, microbrews, domestics, and wine are buy one, get one free 7 days a week from 3 to 5:30. Stop in on Friday for Montini night. Sip on a top shelf martini for only $6, 5:30 to close. When you've worked hard all day and are ready to relax, the Montana Club has got you covered with BOGO happy hour 7 days a week, 3 to 5:30 on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Hey everybody, here with my good friend Josh from the Advocates Injury Law Firm. Josh, if I've been in an accident, how much is it going to cost me to hire you?
Well, we take cases on a contingency fee. And what that means for you is that if you're hurt in an accident, we only get paid if you make a recovery. You'll never owe us anything out of pocket.
What about the call for a consultation?
That's not a problem. We don't charge anything for an initial consultation, so you have absolutely nothing to risk by calling us.
If you're injured in a car accident, call the Advocates, 640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com.
If you're looking for a charming neighborhood hideaway, come into Katie O'Keefe's. Located in the corner of the Stevens Center, Katie's has an inviting atmosphere with ample parking in a location that's easy to get to and hard not to love. With drink specials every night of the week, including Tequila Tuesdays and Whiskey Wednesdays, offering $3 premium cocktails. Katie O'Keefe's is the welcoming, warm hangout you've been looking for. Come into Katie O'Keefe's, where the drinks are always cold and the people are always friendly.
The big skies are open. Go wild with Opportunity Reward Checking. Go ahead, jump, dance, shout. Opportunity Reward Checking will make you do that. Go wild when you get your 1% cash back on qualified debit card purchases. It all starts with an Opportunity Reward Checking account from Opportunity Bank. Visit a branch today to get started. Then go wild and spend your 1% cash back however you want. Go wild with Reward Checking from Opportunity Bank. Some restrictions may apply. Member FDIC.
Get ready to sing, dance, and laugh until your cheeks hurt with the interactive, unforgettable Dueling Pianos show, October 19th at the UC Ballroom. Dueling Pianos is a gala benefiting Montana children, and you can help by purchasing tickets at montanahope.org. Guests will enjoy a lively evening of dueling pianos, hors d'oeuvres, silent auctions, and raffles. All proceeds will benefit the Montana Hope Project and Catholic Social Services of Montana. Kids 10 and under are free. Learn more and purchase tickets at montanahope.org.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Good afternoon, Ryan Tootell, Colton Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Sports Center. Missoula Big Sky used a powerful second half to defeat Bozeman 2 weeks ago, trailing 28-0 to Hellgate last week. The Eagles won the second half there as well, though they lost ultimately in that crosstown showdown. Thursday, in Missoula, the Eagles almost found second half magic before falling 23-20 to Helena High. After being behind 16-7 at halftime, the Eagles scored 2 unanswered touchdowns in the third quarter to take a 20-16 lead into the fourth quarter. But Helena scored the final touchdown of the game. The Bengals racked up 501 yards of total offense against Big Sky's 176, and the Bengals are now 3-1, while Big Sky is 1-3.
For the first 22 minutes of the first half, Billings Skyview hung tough with Bozeman Thursday night, but the first of 4 Asher Croy touchdowns and a 33-yard field goal by Alexander Swan in the final 2 minutes of the second quarter gave Bozeman a 17-0 lead and all the momentum on the way to a 58-0 win. The Hawks scored 5 touchdowns in the third quarter, including a pick 6 for a touchdown, as well as a blocked punt for a touchdown. Bozeman 3-1, Skyview 0-4.
Premier prep matchups tonight across the state at the Class B level. Number 3 Manhattan goes to Missoula to take on number 4 Loyola. That game can be seen on SWX Montana Television. In Double A, it's a battle of undefeateds as Missoula Sentinel is at number 3 Helena Capital. They're both 3-0. And Hellgate is 2-0. Their homecoming is at 7 o'clock. They're hosting 0-3 Flathead. Around here, football. That's what. And it is time for our weekly picks against the spread. We are going to pick all of the NFL games against the spread, but you can't hear them all here. You're going to hear our top 5 here, and then you can hear the rest of them on the podcast. We'll have that for you. So,
you guys name it?
Podcast only content for you. Did we name what?
The podcast. You guys were debating.
Yeah, it's the Tootell and Nuanez podcast. That's not the podcast we're talking about. This is the Tootell and Nuanez podcast.
I understand. Aren't we picking a name for this gambling podcast?
Yeah, but we haven't gotten to that yet.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole different thing.
You guys were texting me about it yesterday, and I wasn't here. I was with Carolyn going to every business in Missoula. Gosh, she's a hustler, man.
Yeah.
And a great radio segment.
Does a great segment. All right, Coulter, let's, by the way, last week, if you're keeping track at home, which I expect you to be, 3-2-1, that was me. Coulter 1-4-1, that was him. We
Sweet.
Continue on. Green Bay, Denver, the Packers, a 7.5-point home favorite against the Denver Broncos. I am surprised at this line. Green Bay, while being 2-0, has not looked great.
Well, Denver's looked terrible, so.
Denver has looked really bad, and that is disappointing. I thought Denver was going to be a team that might take a step forward this year. I think they're in a better quarterback situation. I thought they would be with Joe Flacco than what they've been, and I really was excited about Vic Fangio taking over that defense. But to this point, not so much for the Denver Broncos. So in the rematch of Super Bowl, I don't know what it was, 1997?
1996. 1997.
Season of 96.
Yeah, the 96 Super Bowl was Patriots-Packers.
Which Green Bay won, thank you. And then Green Bay, Denver, Brett Favre versus John Elway, and Elway's first Super Bowl and a famed game indeed. Nonetheless, the Packers 7.5-point favorites. I don't know what to think about this game. I don't think Green Bay has looked very good at all. That said, Denver has looked even worse. And it is a home game, and it is still Aaron Rodgers. And frankly, the Green Bay Packers defense has been the thing that has just been blowing my mind with Mike Pettin and what they got going. I don't know if Zadarius Smith is available or if he's out of this game. I got to check on that. But I think that Green Bay they should win this game at home in Lambeau. 7.5 is that's a pretty big number by NFL standards. I guess I'll go with the home favorite. I mean, why? When in doubt, go with, these are my two teams. The Denver Broncos, my first ever NFL game, Coulter, that I went to. Old Mile High, John Elway versus Bernie Kosar and the Browns.
First NFL game I went to was at Mile High as well. It was Chiefs-Broncos, and it was the worst game I've ever seen in my life. Tim Tebow throwing grounders and getting just ragdolled by Tom Hawley.
There was no ground balls thrown in the football game I attended, I must tell you. Anyhow, so I have been, my father's a Broncos fan. I grew up rooting for Denver as well, but I am going to go with the Green Bay Packers in the 7.5 points to cover that thing because I just think that Denver have not figured it out here.
I'm picking Denver at home to cover.
Denver's not at home. It's in Green Bay.
Oh, okay. I'm picking the Packers. God,
really?
Sorry. Yep.
You're just switching like that just because of the venue.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I thought the Broncos would figure it out at least a little bit more if they're at home. But if it's in Lambeau, I mean there's only about 8 real deal home field advantages left in the NFL, and those are 2 of them.
Yeah. Well, and Denver certainly is, and if they're not there, it's a different deal. Okay, so you and I are both on Green Bay. Dallas, I put this on the list just because this is just this
is ridiculous.
Ridiculous. A 23-point favorite against the Miami Dolphins, the hapless and awful Dolphins.
It's just ridiculous.
This
How?
Game is in Dallas. I don't know what to do. Okay, let's just be clear. In terms of rooting, this is team number 32 versus team number 31. Okay?
Why do you hate the Dolphins so much?
I mean, what kind of question is that? Look at them.
Who hates the Dolphins, though?
I do. You're the one.
This it makes no sense, though, because you loved the Browns. They were like your second favorite team when they were 0-16.
The Browns being bad in a market that cares and shows up and wants them to be good, and their just inability to get out of their own way is different from just let's go to South Beach and hang out in pastel colors for a season and then we're out. Collect our checks and bounce. Get them out of here, the Dolphins. I can't stand the Dolphins. In any case, I would feel compulsed to pick Miami.
Totally.
But I don't know if I can. They did get Taco Charlton. Maybe he's got all the Cowboys' secrets. They cut Taco from the Cowboys earlier this week, and Miami picked him up.
Did they get him for like $2 million?
I mean, overpaid at that point, right? I mean, you cut a first-round draft pick 2 years after he was drafted. Something's wrong there. I guess I will take the Dolphins because the number is just so egregiously large. And, because of my unfailing love for Josh Rosen, who is now taking over as the quarterback for the Dolphins. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I will take Miami to cover the spread, try and lose by just 3 touchdowns.
I mean, conventional wisdom says you're right because it can't. Conventional wisdom says it can't get worse. And if it does get worse, I don't know what Miami's going to do. They gave up 102 points the first 2 weeks of the season. That is unprecedented. I did the research. That's never happened. It happened one time. The expansion Tampa Bay Buccaneers gave up 102 points in a 2-week span. That's it. In terms of over 100 in the first 2 weeks of the year. That's unbelievable.
And, the offense is contributing to that a lot. I mean, there's some defensive scores in there. It's not just the sieve defensively.
Right. Didn't the Patriots score 3 defensive touchdowns last week?
Something like that.
43-0 win?
44 fantasy points for the Patriots defense in my league. 44.
That's going to become the strategy. Just pick whoever defense that the Dolphins are playing.
Who's got the Cowboys defense?
Do you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, nice. That's good. Speaking of, I need to get Antonio Brown out of my fantasy lineup.
Yes, if you haven't yet, drop AB from your fantasy lineups. Okay, what are you doing?
Conventional wisdom says that Miami has to figure out a way to cover, even if it is losing 28-7 or 31-10 or something. but I just don't think they got it in them. I don't think Josh Rosen is the answer whatsoever. I think it actually could get worse before it gets better. So, but I don't know if it could get worse. I don't know if it really gets worse than 43-0 in the NFL.
No, it will not get worse, but it might not get better.
How's it going to get better, right? I mean, Taco Charlton is the only player on Miami on their defense. I was looking at their depth chart. He's the only player I know who he is. The only one. That's amazing. You don't have one guy who is a brand name guy. I mean, name somebody on the Dolphins besides Josh Rosen and Taco Charlton.
It was Minka Fitzpatrick. He's out.
He's out.
Kenyon Drake.
Okay.
I don't know. Who are their wide receivers?
Devontae Parker.
Oh, yeah, Devontae Parker.
That's it. As far as guys I know. Okay, great. So we can name 3 guys. That is the low of all NFL teams. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Gesicki from Penn State.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. I can name him.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm picking the Dolphins. Or excuse me, I'm picking the Cowboys.
Okay. Golders on the boys.
Yep.
Okay, that's absurd. Moving on. This is the battle for the NFL future right here. The Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens, and more specifically, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson has been, granted, he opened the season at Miami. Okay, we understand now what that wasn't, but he is progressed significantly. It looks like from year 1 to year 2, and he's no Patrick Mahomes. Let's not kid ourselves there, but he's a very, very good football player. And Baltimore's a good team. Baltimore, this game in Kansas City, by the way, Chiefs home game, 5.5-point favorite, the Kansas City Chiefs in this game. Coulter, what are you going to do with this?
I got the Chiefs.
You know what I got?
But Tyreek Hill's not playing. You see this?
Well, he's got a broken collarbone, doesn't
he? He's out. Right. He's out for a while, right? 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Was there?
I still got the Chiefs.
Did you think he was playing in this game?
No, I saw a tweet that he was out, but then I rapidly remembered that he had that collarbone injury.
Yes, he is out. You got the Chiefs.
I got the Chiefs.
Give me the Baltimore Ravens.
Road
dogs and those points. I like the Ravens defense more than I like the Kansas City defense, and I like the Chiefs offense, of course, more than I like any other offense in football. The Chiefs, the Arrowhead is one of those 8 stadiums that's a real deal home field advantage. But I think this is like a barometer game for Baltimore, and I think that John Harbaugh finds a way to keep this thing close, if not win outright. So I will get on Baltimore's bandwagon right here, and you can have Kansas City. Probably a smart play. It's not. 5.5 points. It's a decent number. Okay, Seattle. Our game of the week here, Coulter. Seattle Seahawks. Again, this game will be on 102.9 ESPN Radio, noon Mountain Standard Time with the pregame show, 2:25 kickoff against New Orleans. The Saints come in as 4-point underdogs. Obviously, the Seahawks enjoy a significant home field advantage as well. And while there's a lot of good players, there is not the best player, and that being Drew Brees on the Saints team. So they are 4-point underdogs in this game. Seattle has won its previous 2 games by a combined 3 points. So where are you at with the Seattle-New Orleans game here?
Teddy Bridgewater didn't look good last week.
No, he did not.
If they really either shot like Michael Sean Duger said, either Sean Payton's playing coy, and they're saying they're going to use 2 quarterbacks, but they're not, or they are, and either way, it's bad because I don't think Teddy Bridgewater is good enough. And if they go with Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill, it might get the Seahawks spinning a little bit early. But Taysom Hill is a great slash in the NFL, but he's not an NFL quarterback. He's just not. He's an NFL athlete, certainly, and he's an NFL playmaker. He scores touchdowns in NFL games, so he's a great player, but he's just not an NFL quarterback. So I think that the Seahawks will win this game handily.
My one hesitation on Seattle in this game is they have historically been really, really poor, especially in the first half when they've traveled to the Eastern time zone. And I know that has been a point of emphasis for Pete Carroll. And guess what they did? They finally traveled to the Eastern time zone and played well and won a football game. And granted, it was with Ben Roethlisberger, missing most of it. But they went to Pittsburgh, a team that needed a win. I mean, if ever a team needed a win in week 2, it was Pittsburgh coming off that shellacking. And now Pittsburgh's in a tailspin without their quarterback. But Seattle is 2-0, and they got a big win, and they got a big road win. And the thing that I'm worried about is usually when they go to the East Coast, they come back and they pound teams because they're so unhappy with the way that they played, and they put it all together. And now you come back, and I mean, not to say that there's going to be, some weird contentment that creeps in when you're only in the third week of the season, but I think, all of a sudden you start to rely on your home field advantage rather than, giving the juice to it yourself. And that is something that worries me. But the Saints are a better team top to bottom than Seattle is, but not without Drew Brees and not in Seattle. And that's a major, major loss that the Saints have. I do think this game is, I think this game could very well be a field goal football game. And so I kind of like New Orleans against the number, but I've been to too many games in Seattle, man. It's weird there. It's weird in a great way for Seattle, where it just works out for them almost without exception. And so I will take Seattle to cover the 4 points. I'll lay the number and have them beating what I think is a very good a Super Bowl contending New Orleans Saints team, but without their quarterback, I'll take Seattle.
Yep, I got the Hawks too. Rams at Cleveland.
Sunday nighter. Love the Sunday night football and love it when it is the Cleveland Browns on national television. This game in Cleveland against the Los Angeles Rams, obviously the former Super Bowl representatives of the NFC, and the Rams are a road favorite in this game, as they should be. A 3-point favorite, though, is all in Cleveland. Coulter, what do you got here?
I got the Rams.
Now, you know what I want.
The Browns, but I still don't believe in the Browns. They got to prove it.
They got to prove it, and I think this is the opportunity to prove it, and I don't think they will prove it.
The NFL is week to week, certainly, but after watching how awful the Titans looked last night, and I get it, it's Sunday night or it's Thursday night football. Teams often look awful.
Yeah.
But the Titans just aren't good, and they killed the Browns in week 1. So to me, the jury's still out on the Browns.
The jury's 100% out on the Browns, and I am a little bit – I don't think the Rams are going to be as good this year as they were last year, even with the return of Cooper Kupp. I just don't think that they are going to be as good. But they are an established good to very good team. I mean, they're a top team in the NFC, where the Browns are 1-1 and looked awful week 1 and then looked kind of mediocre but won the game handily because they ended up playing a backup quarterback in week 2. So I am a long ways from being on I'm on the hype train. I'm not on the expectation train with the Cleveland Browns, and I will be rooting like crazy for the Browns to win this football game, but I'm going to take the Rams to cover that 3-point spread. So there you go. There's 5 games down. We'll do the rest of the games for the podcast. You can tune into the podcast and check that out. Hey, want to remind everybody, too, we are starting once again. It's a new season, a new year. Our Mattress Firm Student Athlete of the Week going to be rolling here very shortly. And you can nominate students. And it doesn't have to be an athlete. Can be. But it can be any kid who's doing good, giving back in their community. You go online to mattressfirmmt.com/students. mattressfirmmt.com/students. And you can nominate a kid to be the Mattress Firm Student of the Week. And every kid that is nominated is automatically available to be the Mattress Firm Student of the Year. And the kid at the end of the year, $3,000 scholarship from Mattress Firm. Great stuff from them. So, again, mattressfirmmt.com/students is where you go to register. If you got a kid that you want to put in there, you can do that. It is Tootell and Nuanez, 102.9 ESPN Radio. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, we are going to get into what you got coming up this weekend on ESPN Radio. College football tonight, college game day tomorrow, NFL on Sunday, and our first ever Tootell and Nuanez 2-minute mashup next.
Hi there, it's Les Schwab Tires. You know, we've been helping keep folks safe on the road around here since 1952. That's why you can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires during our fall tire sale. So swing by or book an appointment at leschwab.com. Les Schwab Tires, doing the right thing since 1952. Limited time offer while supplies last. Discount depends on tire size and type. Cannot be combined with other offers. Details at leschwab.com.
On Russell, across from the fairgrounds.
No matter how far you may go, there's always one just down the road. Down pump, who pump it up? Pump it up.
nothing that goes better together than a Johnsonville Big Dog and an ice-cold beer. Right now in the Town Pump Deli, Johnsonville Big Dogs are only $1.79. And Keystone 15 packs, $8.88. Town Pump, right down the road.
Town Pump, right down the road. Pump it up. Oh, yeah.
Have you been hurt or disabled? Are you missing time from work and not sure what to do? I'm attorney Chris Helmer, and Clark Fork Law Offices in Missoula is here to help. Our team specializes in worker compensation, personal injury, and Social Security disability. We fight for the benefits you deserve. Call Clark Fork Law at 728-0168 for a free consultation or visit clarkforklaw.com. Again, 728-0168.
The Polaris Factory Authorized Clearance is here. The world's best-selling off-road lineup is priced to move with financing as low as 3.99% and rebates up to $3,500. Live life wide open in a high-performance RZR. Tackle anything from mountains to mud holes on a legendary Sportsman ATV. Get more done with a hard-working Ranger or take on any task or trail in a versatile Polaris General. The best deals of the year are happening now. See Polaris.com or your Polaris dealer for rebates up to $3,500 and financing as low as 3.99% APR for 36 months during the Polaris Factory Authorized Clearance. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula and Highway 83 in Sealy. Kurtz Polaris is now showcasing all of the new 2020 Polaris off-road vehicles. To be the first to get a great deal on brand new state-of-the-art Polaris vehicles at Kurtz Polaris. Online at kurtzpolaris.com. Rebates valid in U.S. through 9/30/19 on new 2015 through 2019 vehicles. Financing offer valid on 2015 through 2020. Subject to credit approval. Offers vary by model. See dealer for details. Always wear a helmet. Never drink and ride.
It's a rite of passage, that first bank account. Explore the great options for your young adult with a visit to Farmer State Bank, online at farmersebank.com or in person at any of our 9 locations in western Montana. Our checking and savings accounts are designed to fit any lifestyle and budget with the flexibility, innovations, and security today's consumers demand. Start out right with Farmer State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907. Member FDIC.
Tootell and Nuanez. Listen to the podcast on the TuneIn Radio app or on iTunes. 1029ESPN.com.
I need more Bournes in my life.
You have a strange affinity for female alternative rockers.
The exception being that this is actually a male alternative rocker.
What do I know? I couldn't even told you who that was, and I couldn't have told you who Bournes was either.
That's Bournes. This is Bournes.
I get it.
Yeah. And he's a man, but he does sing at a pretty high octave, all things considered.
I mean, this day and age, who knows, who cares, doesn't matter.
Tootell Nuanez, 1029 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Kurtz Polaris studios. Kurtz Polaris at 2904 West Broadway in Missoula, Highway 83 in Sealy, online at kurtzpolaris.com. You can find us on the World Wide Web as well. And there you can get our podcast, 1029ESPN.com, or wherever you get your podcast. You can listen to the whole show and more. In fact, we will have additional material for you in the podcast that did not make air, specifically NFL picks against the spread. So listen to the podcast. Podcast available thanks to the Wingate by Wyndham Hotel. Coulter, couple of things for the people. Excited tonight. We didn't even really talk about this, but Utah USC, a Pac-12 matchup. Now we're finally getting into conference play at the FBS level, and USC Utah is a big game to get things started off. The Utes 3-0, USC 2-1. USC looking like maybe not quite as good as people thought they were going to be. Anyway, 7 o'clock kickoff. We will go to that game at 6:30, so a half an hour after we are done here. We'll have the pregame show for you, and then Utah at USC. Also, by the way, Air Force Boise State. That is on ESPN 2 if you're looking for that on television. But Utah USC here on ESPN Radio. So happy to have that for you. Also, tomorrow, Coulter and I going to be live on location. It is our tailgate party down there, ESPN College Game Day on the air. The Grizzly Monmouth pregame show at 11:30 a.m. Be on the air getting you ready for a 1 o'clock kickoff at Washington Grizzly Stadium tomorrow. Come on over to the tailgate party adjacent to the walking bridge across from the Eastgate Shopping Center. We got pizza for you from Domino's, free pop, water, and Gatorade from Pepsi. The Badlanders got the bar open. You're going to have clear plastic carrying bags, which you need now to go into Washington Grizzly Stadium from MSO Hub. Some vehicles from Carl Tyler Chevrolet, and, of course, the off-road stuff, which is so sweet, from Kurtz Polaris. Some footballs to throw around from the Advocates and all kinds of stuff. Good time down there to be had by all. So stop by the tailgate party, say hi, grab some swag, get some free goodies, get a drink, get some food, get some pizza in you, and have yourself a fine Saturday afternoon. Again, on the air, 11:30 a.m. on your radios as you are driving into the game or wherever you are. We'll get you set with all that. Going to talk about Jerry Louis McGee breaking the record. We'll hear from JLM tomorrow. We will also hear from Bobby Houck about JLM and get you set for the rest of the Big Sky Conference schedule as well tomorrow. So there you go. That's what's going on. All right, and then, Seattle, the Seahawks, at noon on Sunday with the pregame show, 2:25. They kick off their full slate of football all weekend starting this very night. We have it now. We have some folks who've been doing some work for us, Colt, behind the scenes. And for the first time ever, we are going to have our Tootell Nuanez 2-minute mashup, the 2-minute drill, as it were, the whole week condensed into 2 minutes of sound for you to mostly finish off a Friday. Let's hit it.
Hello, Montana.
It did not exceed Washington Grizzly Stadium in terms of volume.
Speaking with Jerry Louis McGee just after the fact, he said exactly to me, he's like, hey, man, it was fun to play there, but not louder than Washington Grizzly Stadium.
Let's hear from Bobby Houck.
You know, there's lots of things that are fun about coaching Jerry.
Perfectly okay to throw shade. Perfectly okay to throw shade at Bob Stitt. That's allowed. That's the one personality you can give.
You know, it was pretty tough catching all those bubbles first 2 years.
All you got to do is go talk to him and see him to understand why he would have been maybe overlooked. But all you got to do is watch him play to go that was a miss on everybody's part.
And now Montana State head coach Jeff Choate.
Happy to get out of Macomb with a win. Really not excited to go back there anytime soon. It was not a great environment. It was not well organized. I don't know anything else to say. But it is what it is. We got the W. We're moving on.
Everybody saddle up.
Pete Guerrero is going to be the best player, the best visiting player when it comes to Montana this weekend.
We have Monmouth head football coach Kevin Callahan.
Back in 2013, when we went out to Bozeman, we had a day. We were playing on a Thursday night, so we had sometime during the day, the day before, we took our kids on a hike in a state park, and actually ended up getting 5 players lost. I guarantee there won't be any hikes or treks in the woods this time.
And now Norfolk State head coach Latrell Scott.
These guys coming from the beach over here, I doubt very seriously that they're going to wander off too far, because I don't really think that any of my guys would plan a trip to Montana.
Let's hear from Bobby Houck.
Again, it's more about the W's. When you have good players, you get to win more.
I knew that this was going to make you mad.
Like, who cares about mascot battle royales? I want to hear Mike Leach talk about football. Mike Leach is so out there that he really has no control of what he's going to say in a press conference.
You know, you'd have to get one of those Harry Potter activists to read up on how you kill a sun devil, because there's a lot of outside stuff there.
Tom, how are you? I mean, I don't know, man. I feel like Tom is jinxed. You know what I mean, Coulter?
Mm-hmm. I'm not jinxed.
There you are. Do you know any other Black Crowes songs?
Yes.
Do I? Very well done. That is that's 2 minutes of pure gold that takes a lot of work to get done, and it was excellently done. Shout out, David.
The funniest part is that all the work is on David's side. We're just being idiots, and David is just marking it and making it concise for everybody to consume in 1 2-minute bit.
Speak for yourself. You're being an idiot. I'm just being me. No, maybe the same thing.
I think you just summed up the whole thing.
The point is yours is an act. Mine's real. This is it. I'm going home. Got the same thing. Just tackling toddlers in my house. Anyhow.
I'm not jinxed.
Coulter, tomorrow, I'm going to be down there early, man. 9 a.m. What do you think? You want to come down, hang out?
Nope.
11:25, huh?
No, I'll be down there about 10:30.
Oh, that's good.
You know, hit the weight room.
What? When's the last time you lifted a weight?
I've lifted 3 times this week. I took 5.5 months off, which is the longest time of my life.
Well, here's the thing. You've been riding the bike, though. See?
Yeah, I have. I've been working out still, but I Yeah, I mean, I started lifting weights when I was 13 years old, and I never took more than maybe I'd say maximum of a 3-week break in my whole life until this last late or early spring, and then I started doing cycling instead.
Well, I'm glad to have been a part of that hiatus. I realized that working out is just absurd, and everybody's just sort of natural gifts are what they are.
That's just
I won the
only
lottery.
Mostly not true. You did win the lottery, though.
100%. Boys and girls, we'll see you tomorrow morning at the pregame show. Come on down to the tailgate, hang out, spend some time with us. We'll be on the air at 11:30 with ESPN College Game Day, and then again at noon on Sunday with the Seahawks game. Enjoy USC Utah tonight, 6:30. We're gonna rock and roll with some Pac-12 after dark. Have a great weekend. In Western Montana, we know shopping local matters, and you may think you'd pay more for the quality and customer service that comes with it, but not at Selway Armory. Selway Armory is locally owned with knowledgeable specialists that can answer your questions. In addition to the expertise, though, Selway Armory also has a bigger selection and lower prices than the box stores. When you're in the market for firearms and accessories, save money with the experts at Selway Armory. Selway Armory, 2825 Stockyard Road, Unit E6, and online at selwayarmory.com. Hey folks, Ryan Tootell here with Josh from The Advocates. If you've been in a car accident and need help dealing with the insurance company, you should give The Advocates a call.
It doesn't cost anything at all to call, and I'd be happy to talk with you about your situation. You don't want to have to be dealing with contacting the insurance companies and setting up your claim. We can do that for you from start to finish. We'll take the hassle out of the process so you can just focus on getting better.
There you go, folks. If you've been injured in an accident, give Josh a call, 640-4444, or online at montanaadvocates.com. There are a lot of lawyers, but you deserve an advocate. Katie O'Keefe's is revamped, remodeled, and ready to become your go-to sports bar in Missoula. Located in the Stevens Center, Katie's offers special drink specials every night of the week, including mixed shots for $1 off every Monday Night Football. On Thursdays, pitchers of your favorite microbrew are just $11. Katie's is a great spot to watch the Grizz game on Saturdays, NFL on Sundays, and if you want to bring your own food, you can. Whether you watch the Grizz or the NFL from coast to coast, come to Katie O'Keefe's, Missoula's neighborhood football headquarters.
This is Mike Nugent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Berkshire Hathaway provides Western Montana with full-time real estate professionals for you whenever you need us. Our reputation as the state's most knowledgeable and available real estate group has helped build unmatched trust in the Garden City and statewide. If you have been thinking of making a real estate move in the short or long term, give me a call. No pressure, no expectations. Just professional opinions and service at whatever pace you are comfortable with. Give me, Mike Nugent, a call today, 531-1802. And remember, every question is good to ask.
The biggest reason fall is the Desperados' favorite season of all, the return of those wonderfully spirited UM students, of course. Okay. So football is the real reason the Desperado gets pumped about fall, but you can't have college ball without college, right? So this season, the Desperado is bringing the best of both worlds together with live broadcast of Montana college football and all your favorite college football teams, along with Missoula's best hot wings and coldest beer. Fall has arrived, and there's more than one reason to celebrate at the Desperado Sports Tavern on South Russell, across from the Y.
School buses are taking to the roads, and they mean something very important. That is, bus drivers, educators, and parents doing their part to get children to and from school safely. Montana motorists share the responsibility to Montana's kids. Be aware this school year, you are sharing the road with our future. Flashing yellow lights alert drivers that the bus is preparing to stop. Flashing red lights means stop. Children are getting on or off the bus. Watch the lights and obey the signals to help keep our community safe for kids. This school safety reminder was brought to you by the Montana School Bus Contractors Association and this station.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana. KKVU HD3 Stevensville and 102.9 FM on K275.